Hey y'all, I want to share with you the top 10 signs from my experience and experience of others of a spiritual awakening, as the title says. What is a spiritual awakening? First of all, a spiritual awakening is literally that you wake up to the fact that you are a spirit living the human being experience. And not only that, you recognize many other things carry this spirit, that you are not just the most significant thing in existence. You get out of that ego and you begin to realize the self. And I'm going to get more into that as the video goes along. So number one, you realize, and this is very important, religion is man-made and has little or nothing to do with God. Yes, sometimes religion has certain tools and teachings in it that are very good and profound and helpful. However, many people, and you will realize this when you have a spiritual awakening, use religion as a supplement for God. They use a book as God. They idolize a false idol, essentially, and make it into a God, and it's not a God. And a lot of people do not realize this because many of them are indoctrinated. They're asleep. Like I said, this is part of a spiritual awakening. When you wake up out of this, they're asleep. And they don't recognize that they're idolizing a false god. They believe that the book is perfect and there's no problems with it. And when you go through a spiritual awakening, you realize God cannot be contained by a book that's about this thick. God cannot be explained by a book. God is beyond religion. God existed before religion. God existed after religion. And God might have been the inspiration for many of these books, but these books cannot explain God. And when you go through a spiritual awakening, you realize that because you begin to connect with the true God. And you begin to develop a true relationship with God and realize that these books are just parading God around, essentially. So that's one thing. Two is knowing that a higher power is always listening and acting accordingly to your thoughts. I talk about this all the time, y'all. Your thoughts create your reality. It says that in the Dhammapada. It's one of the first lines of the twin verses. All that we are is created with our thoughts. I'm not quoting this perfect. You can look it up. With our thoughts, we create the world. Think or act in an impure way and unhappiness will follow you. It is essentially showing you and telling you that God is listening. And there is another one. Think or act in a pure way and happiness will follow you. Your thoughts are being manifested. 12:12. If you've seen 12:12, there's a sign. Your thoughts are being manifested as you think them. And if you're having two conflicting thoughts, then you're going to have stagnant energy. You know why? Because a higher power is always listening to you. That higher power gives you anything that you want, even if you don't realize you don't want it, because that's where your focus goes. You are a creator, essentially. Be still and know that I am God. You are God. You are an expression of God, one of the many expressions of God. And many religions, this is why I say when you get into your spiritual awakening, you realize this. Many religions will teach you that only God is the highest power and you're nothing, you're limited. But you're not as limited as you believe. And part of the spiritual awakening makes you realize that you're only as limited as your thoughts are limited. You could literally become anything or do anything or manifest anything that you desire. There are no limitations. And let's say our physical body is limited. We will eventually shed this body because we're spiritual beings. We are not tied to this body. This is temporary. I'm just temporarily Ayana in this body right now. But I will die and I'll become somebody else. I have lived other lives and I've been someone else with another name in another region of the world. And the same thing will happen for you. And you'll realize that when you wake up spiritually, you realize your spirit is old and it has lived many lives. And it is essentially a part of God. It is ascending to be like God. You are a God, essentially. You're just a baby God in the making. Right? So the next one is seeing synchronicities. This is very popular, of course, like angel numbers, animal signs and totems, seeing doubles of something, seeing anything repeatedly is a synchronicity. We're seeing a message come up right when you had a thought or something of that sort. This is you paying attention, because you know what? God was already sending it. I kid you not. I was being shown 1111 before I even realized I was being shown 1111. I never paid any attention to it. But I remember the other day I had looked back at some of my messages or something. I saw a screenshot of something from like years ago. And this was before I started my deep dive into my spiritual awakening. And it had a screenshot and it said 1111. And I had no idea because I wasn't fully awake yet. I wasn't paying attention. So when I woke up, I started to pay attention. They're always there. They've always been there. I even think back even further. There were signs that would pop up and I didn't know what they were. I didn't know. But the signs were always there. So you will start to pay attention to the signs that God is trying to send you. And I put emphasis on God or the higher power, whatever you call that higher power, because there are some religious folk or just any people who may never, usually it's religious folk, let's be honest here. There are some religious folk that will try to deceive you from the fear of the devil, that these are coming from the devil. These are not coming from the devil. These signs are God trying to guide you. God loves you and God wants the best for you. I've been seeing angel numbers for over 5 years and I know only God can send these numbers. I've woke up to the truth. Okay. And that is another part, a sign of a spiritual awakening. So number 4, we have realizing your dreams have meanings. I even have a neighbor. I call her my neighbor. She has dreams and I don't think she realizes it has meanings. I realize she's not as awake as I am. Many people, they have dreams and they think it means nothing. It's just some wild stuff their mind makes up. No, your dreams have meanings. Every dream has a meaning. I've been keeping track of my dreams. I've noticed some of them premonitions. Some of them are my subconscious coming out. Some of them are things I need to heal. Some of them are God coming into me and telling me something. Some of them are warning me of things. Some of them are telling me of my future, telling the future of other people, the struggles of other people. The dreams are very profound, amazing information. And if you don't have dreams, that means your third eye chakra is blocked. See my chakra videos. I'm going to link all of these in the description because I'm going to mention a lot of videos I already have. See my chakra video on how to open your third eye chakra, right? Or chakra, as everybody knows it, but it's pronounced chakra, just to let y'all know. All of them have meanings. All of them. Every single dream have a meaning. Keep a dream journal. I started doing this more recently now. I actually need to put my dream from today in there. Keep a dream journal. You can put as little as you remember. Some people might be like, I don't remember hardly any of my dream. I only remember one thing. Write that one thing. I have some entries where I literally just remember seeing 1111 and I put that. Or somebody, I don't know, knocked on my door. I wrote that. Put whatever you remember. Whatever you remember, put it down. It's important. I promise you, because I look back at some of my old dreams, some of them told me of something that was going to happen. I'm actually going to post it on my YouTube channel, an example eventually. Number 5, breaking out of the 3D constructs of life. What does that mean? What is the typical human experience here in the United States of America? You go to school, you go to higher education or not, you get a job, you work until you retire and then you finally get to live your life. In between, you might get married, have kids. That's about it. When you wake up spiritually, you realize that pattern of your life does not have to be your life. You do not have to live that way. You don't have to even go to school if you don't want to. You don't have to go to higher education. Of course, you might get thrown in jail, of course, but you don't have to do higher education. You don't have to work your whole life. Some people can literally live in another country if they want to and live off the land. You can build a hut in the middle of the woods somewhere and live off the land. You don't have to live your life based on 3D constructs, right? There's so many different paths in life, choices that you can make. And what might be good, right for someone else is not right for you. Many people will say like, oh, you should have kids. Oh, you should get married. What if you want to be single forever? What if you don't want to be married? What if you don't want to have kids? You don't have to live that way. Even deeper than that, you realize that you could get money outside of just work. There are ways that you can manifest money in the most outlandish ways. Ways that you could have never expected. You break out of the idea that you have to set a plan with all these steps that you have to personally do to accomplish a goal. And you realize, like I said earlier, a higher power is listening and it can bring it to you in a way that you might not have been able to imagine with your 3D mind thinking. Because that higher power functions on 12D or higher. It knows more than what you know. And it can make happen for you whatever you want. So you break out of this 3D mindset of, I can only get this if I do this, or I can only do this if I do this. Just too much thinking and not enough trusting and believing that everything that you need will be provided. It's already there. It's already there. It's just waiting for you to realize it. Number 6, realizing who you are and your purpose in life. I just saw a video on this the other day. A guy said, who are you? He said, most people don't even know who they are. And he said, of course I know who I am. My name's blah, 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 blah. He said, no, that's just your name. That's just a label, a name. You're more than just that. And that is true. I'm not just Ayana-Jarvis. I'm not just black. I'm deeper than that. I'm an artist. I'm creative, right? I create things. I'm a fashion designer. I'm an empath. I heal people. I'm a healing spiritual being who wants to spread love and compassion to everybody. That's who I am. And I do that in all the unique ways to me. I'm everything that is part of me. And you know what? There's parts of me that I can change. I'm moldable. I don't have to keep certain parts of my personality. For instance, I'm a recovering codependent. Asleep me could have been like, I'll always be like this. I'll always be this way. I even hear some codependents in recovery saying, I'll always be codependent. You don't have to always be codependent. Like I said, watch what you're thinking, because you're making that happen. If you say you'll always be codependent, then always being codependent is who you're going to be. But if you know and believe in your heart that your personality is moldable and you don't have to always be a certain way, then you can change and you will change. There's a wonderful book by Joe Dispenza, whatever. It's called, I can't remember what it's called, but I'm going to put it on the screen somewhere here. This is what it's called. Amazing book. I read it. He talks about how you can literally change your personality. Your personality is usually shaped by your life experiences, the people around you, and how you were raised, aka your parents. But you do not have to be these things. You can change it. You can change every aspect of yourself and your personality, because it's moldable. It's moldable. It's not who you are. Who you are is a spiritual being. You're a spiritual being with many different lifetimes, many different uniqueness parts to your soul, with a lot of different knowledge and information. But your personality that was created by your upbringing is not who you are. My codependency is not who I am. I'm a recovering codependent. I'm losing that part of me every single day the more I work the program. And eventually I get to a point where I'm no longer acting in codependent ways. I become a brand new version of myself. And that's what a spiritual awakening is about, is realizing who you are to a core and how that is expressed in your physical form. So then number 7, we got aligning with people and lovers that you connect with extremely well. Now, when I say connect with extremely well, I'm not just talking about, oh, we're besties. No, I'm talking about people who know you to a core, people who you vibe with so well, people who feel like family. They feel familiar to you. They feel like your sister, your mother, your brother, your lover, the one. When you start aligning with a lot of these people, it's a sign that you have already, at this point, you're already awoken a bit. You've already been awoken. And now you're aligning with these people who are meant to be your soul family, essentially. I had a dream about it too. I had a dream about the whole journey, my whole spiritual journey in a way, where I was just going through this home, and I was going upstairs to my lover, which was on the highest floor. And as I was going through my home, I was going through different rooms, and in each room there was like a bunch of my family, even though these were not family members that I currently have. These were just random people I barely knew, didn't know at all actually. And I just kept seeing my family and chatting with them here and there and blah blah. And eventually I got to the top floor and my lover was there, and that was literally a dream preparing me for this journey of awakening and aligning with my soul family. All of the people before my spiritual awakening are no longer in my life. They're no, even some of my family members. And it is because I have shifted out of that vibration of where these people are. Not everybody can or will grow with you. So you're going to leave some of those people behind, but it's not always a bad thing. Losing these people are not always a bad thing, because more people who are in the proper vibration of you will align with you. Now, if you're just losing people and you're not aligning with nobody else that vibes with you, then that's a you problem. You got something you got to work on for yourself. But if you're losing these people because they're just not a match for you no more, you're having too much conflict, and then you vibe with other people, you meet new people you vibe with who you feel like are a part of your family, like your true family. Because the blood family is not your true family. I'm telling y'all, that's not your true family. That's not to say some people's blood family are a good family for them, but not all. That's not the case for everybody. Some people literally have to lose their entire family. I just went to my one of my classes, and there was a woman who was a survivor from narcissism, and she was sharing her story in regards to that. She basically had to abandon her entire family, and sometimes you will have to do that on this journey. So that's another sign, right? So number 8. Your spiritual gifts are developing. Everyone has spiritual gifts, right? Many religions talk about it. So there's definitely truth. Religions and outside of religions talk about it. So there's definitely some truth to it, right? Spiritual gifts are all God-given. Don't let no religious crazy people, which is ironic because it's in a lot of the scriptures, but that's a whole other story. Don't let no crazy religious folk tell you that these come from the devil. There's nothing demonic about it. God gave you these gifts. These gifts are essential to who you are. And your gifts will develop and you become more keen to them. You'll realize them more. For me, I'm a claircognizant empath, a Hioka empath. And I was guided to learning this information, and I see it reflect every day. And I've seen it reflect in my life even before I knew who I was as that part of who I was. And I use these gifts, and I've honed these gifts more and more every day, and every day they get better. And I'm noticing them getting extremely better as I've woken up more and more, right? I have a whole video on the different spiritual gifts, link it in the description. Check it out so you can figure it out. And if you're curious about what your spiritual gifts are, I can help you figure that out. The info for that is also in the description and also in my bio. I have services for that, right? So your gifts will develop, they'll increase, they'll get better. Everything will improve in regards to that. And there are activities and things that you could do to make them even better. Number 9 is you learn to recognize that fear is the devil and love is God. I think I have a long video or a short in the description about that. Fear is literally the devil. And when people come from a place of fear, many of them do not realize that that is demon driven. It doesn't matter how religious they are. And you know, the irony is, I've noticed from my experience, religious people suffer the most from demonic influence. And it's because, unfortunately, in religion, there is a lot of fear mongering and tactics to keep you stuck within the religion. And it creates a lot of fear within that person and a lot of low vibrational energy, like judgment, fear of the unknown, doubting, and homophobia, and a lot of other problems. And all of that stuff is demonic influence. Okay, I don't care what anyone says, it's demon influence. Fear is the devil. And when you wake up, you begin to realize that that's what the devil is. The devil is just fear. And as you progress as a soul, you realize more and more that coming from a place of love is truly what God is all about. Unconditional love, not the codependent type love that they try to teach you about, like, oh, I need you in my life and y'all always be there. That's not love. Unconditional love is radical acceptance and not harboring negative fear-based feelings in your heart for yourself, for others, or for anything else. And the more and more you align with that energetic existence, the closer and closer you get to God. No religion, no book, or nothing can get you there. It's all about energy, it's about prayer, and it's about meditation. And that's the only thing that can get you there. And you realize this as you wake up spiritually, that God is love and fear is the devil. So anytime someone tries to cast a lot of doubt in your mind and your heart about something that you're doing or what you're going through, someone who comes from a place of fear and says this is the devil, that's the devil, that's literally the devil telling them that. It's the devil lying to them. It's fear. I tell you something, let me tell y'all. I had a neighbor, I haven't seen her in a while. I don't know how she's been, but she's been living in her car for about 9 years now. And she used to park adjacent to me. And I remember one time she was gone for about a week. I didn't know where she was. And so I parked in that same spot that was she in. I'm very energy sensitive, and sometimes I have sleep paralysis. And when I have sleep paralysis, I have a whole video on that description. I believe sleep paralysis is a form of astral projection that's incomplete. So one time I parked there and I was having sleep paralysis. And during the sleep paralysis, I was overcome with a lot of fear, and there was demons around me. Literally the same spot that she parks in. There was demons around me. And when I talked to her on a regular, I realized why. She was super Christian. She lived her entire life completely based on what the Bible says. She was holding on to a lot of resentment. She was holding on to some guilt. She was holding on from pain from her past. She was in the energy of judgment by default, because unfortunately Christianity teaches you to judge people and to not love certain people, and etc., etc. And you cannot love somebody and want them to change at the same time. That can't coexist. It's impossible. Or expect them to change or believe they have to change. That's not love, because like I said, love is radical acceptance, right? She had a lot of demons tormenting her, and yet she believed she was in alignment with God. Why? Because in her heart there was a lot of fear. It was all of these negative things like judgment, resentment, anger, guilt, unforgiveness. That is resentment. All of that is fear-based, low vibrational energy, and that's why the demons were in that spot. So then my last one, number 10, is learning to find peace and acceptance in any situation, because you know it can and will change. Like I said earlier, you create your reality with your thoughts. And when you're thinking positive, you can create that. You can create positive experiences no matter what your situation is. Y'all know me. I've been in some of the most ass backwards situations in my life. I talk about them often. Even now, the fact that I'm living in my car. I actually made a mistake. I should have been out of my car over a year ago. I made a mistake because the devil influenced me. I was afraid. That I would not be able to live up to certain expectations if I had taken up an opportunity to live somewhere else. And so I let my own demons influence me in a negative way and caused me to make a mistake. So I lived in my car a lot longer and live a life of hardship. But this goes into what I'm saying. When you learn to live in peace despite your situation, it can make things better. Despite my situation, yes, there were times where I was just very unhappy about my living situation. But I decided to make peace with a lot of it. I made peace with it. And because I made peace with it, I invited around me a lot more pleasant situations. I took advantage of my situation to the highest way possible. And I learned to find joy in my life. And even given my impoverished state, and the struggles of me living in my car. And that is because I made peace with it. I made peace with it. And you can do that. It's all about a mind. It's your mindset. When you learn to wake up, you learn to shift your mind to whatever reality you want. And that reality becomes true for you. I put in my mind, I'm going to find ways to have fun. I'm going to find ways to be at peace. I'm going to find ways to have joy. And I did. And it's because I shifted my mind. I didn't stay in that negative thinking and all of that stuff. And you realize, like I said, when you wake up, you realize you're creating this stuff with your head. God wants for you the best for you. If you want it for you, you have to want it for yourself. But if all you focus on is negativity and resentment and hate and all this stuff, that's all you'll get. Like my neighbor. She lived a life of extreme struggle. She was worse off than me. Both of us didn't have a job, but she was worse off than me. All of her money she made was from people giving her handouts. She constantly was fixing problems. She never had any solutions to anything. Her life just slowly seems to get just worse and more of a struggle. And it's because she has so many fears that she was holding on to that she could not let go of. It's because she did not know how to make peace with her situation. She did not know how to accept the present moment and to move on from her past and to make way for new. She didn't use her life situation to her advantage. And so I chose to do the opposite of that and try to use it to my advantage as much as possible. And I made peace with that. I opened myself up to opportunities of having fun and making friends and having joyful moments in this stressful situation. And I know now that will change. I no longer let negative vibrational entities and demons affect me negatively, right? So that's what I got for y'all. That's the top 10 signs of a spiritual awakening. Leave down in the comments any other ones that you believe should be on this list or ones that you've experienced. And check out the description and my bio on my profile for any services that you want. I do spiritual coaching or life coaching sessions. Okay, that's what I specialize in. And I do angel number readings. That's all I do now. And I especially recommend the spiritual life coach sessions because I can help you figure out what things are holding you back from aligning with your greatest path in life. Whatever negativity you're struggling with, whatever mental health issues you're struggling with, if conventional therapy or other things aren't working, I can help you with that in the call sessions. So give it a try, check it out. And that's the video, y'all. Like, share this to whoever you feel like needs to hear about this, and I'll see you guys. Peace.